Revealed. My son's incredible $53 million fortune led to heartwarming redemption just days later. Sarah had always known that Cedar Falls was a town where pride ran deep. Living in a place where everyone knew each other's struggles, she worked 2 jobs to keep her dreams alight. Long shifts at the diner where she poured coffee for weary souls, and long hours at the supermarket stacking shelves, left her exhausted. Yet nothing mattered more than giving her son, Jake, a better future than the one she lived. Jake was 18, working at the local fast food joint with dreams of making something of himself. One mundane afternoon, after finishing his shift, he scratched off a lottery ticket for fun. The numbers gleamed up at him, almost mocking him with their extravagance. $53 million. A single gasp escaped his lips, and he stumbled back in disbelief. "Mom! You won't believe this." The cheers erupted like fireworks within their humble home. But joy couldn't replace the tension that squirmed between them when word spread across town. Suddenly, they were the center of attention, the local celebrities amidst their familiar faces. Friends beamed with pride one moment, and the next, the smiles felt too thin, strained with envy. Sarah watched as the sheen of wealth illuminated Jake's eyes. He became a magnet for admiration, pulling distant acquaintances closer and letting old friends drift away. There was excitement in each shopping spree and every party invitation that dropped in their mailbox. But with every extravagant moment, Sarah felt her heart sink a little further. The man she raised began to disappear beneath a thin veneer of wealth. The pivotal moment arrived when news struck that Mr. Thompson, a beloved veteran down the street, faced eviction. Sarah felt a tightness in her chest. They often helped each other out. His warmth and wisdom filled their lives with meaning. With the whole town rallying behind Mr. Thompson, Sarah knew she and Jake could make a difference. "Jake, we need to help him," she said, her voice laced with urgency. As Jake wrestled with the allure of the lavish lifestyle against the values instilled in him, frustration bubbled beneath the surface. "But Mom, I worked hard for this money," he shot back. "I want to enjoy it." He felt pulled in 2 different directions, each tugging at who he believed he was supposed to be. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." With a heart full of determination, Jake opted to take a portion of his winnings to assist Mr. Thompson. It was a decision sparked by compassion, and it lit a fire in the community. Where bitter whispers had once simmered, donations flowed in, bringing people together once more despite their differences. However, as criticisms arose, accusations of trying to buy their way back, the glow of their kindness felt overshadowed by discontent. Jake increased his resolve, wrestling with the challenges of newfound wealth, realizing that nothing was ever as simple as it appeared. It was a stark reminder that money could draw people together, while tearing precious connections apart. As the weight of expectations crushed down, a single event shook Cedar Falls, leaving Sarah and Jake around a familiar kitchen table once more, scrambling to make sense of all they fought for. Would they emerge stronger? Or would the glitter of fortune drown the heartfelt connections that truly defined their lives? The days turned into a blur for Sarah and Jake. After the excitement of their good deed, the town felt oddly quiet. They had helped Mr. Thompson, yes, but the praise had soon dissipated into whispers behind closed doors. Sarah watched as her once vibrant son shifted under the weight of expectations. The kid who would sing along to the radio, carefree and full of promise, now wore a heavy frown that even laughter couldn't lift. One evening, as the sun dipped below Cedar Falls, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Sarah found Jake in the living room, staring blankly at the wall. She settled next to him, feeling the energy crackle in the still air. "What's going on in that head of yours?" she asked gently. Jake turned to her, eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "I don't know, Mom. I thought winning would make everything better. Now I just feel lost." Her heart ached at his words. "It's okay to feel that way, sweetheart. You've been through a lot in a short time. I thought I'd be happy, surrounded by friends, living the dream," he said, his frustration bubbling up again. But I feel like I'm being watched all the time. I don't even know who to trust anymore. Sarah took a deep breath, desperate to lend him her strength. Sometimes when good things happen, it can be hard to remember who we really are. We just have to hold on to the people and the values that matter. That evening, as darkness blanketed the town, a flicker of an idea sparked in Jake's mind. He began to envision a way to reconnect with the community, not through charity simply for praise, but by creating genuine relationships. What if we could do something together? Something that brings everyone together without the money being at the center of it? He proposed, a hint of excitement returning to his voice. What did you have in mind? Sarah asked, intrigued by the change in him. What if we organize a community festival? A day filled with games, food, music. People just having fun, you know? I could help fund it, but we can make it about connection, not cash. Sarah smiled, a warmth spreading in her chest. That sounds fantastic. You can rally folks to contribute and organize volunteers. This could help heal some wounds. Encouraged by his idea, Jake threw himself into planning the festival, reaching out to people of all walks of life. The moment he shared his vision with old friends and neighbors, something magical began to happen. Excitement replaced the whispers, and Cedar Falls slowly buzzed with anticipation. But as the festival drew closer, doubts crept in. Jake received messages from some who questioned whether it was just another attempt to buy friendship. His heart sank. Mom, what if they don't see it like I do? What if I've messed up everything? Then we learn from it, Sarah reassured him tightly. True friends will be there regardless. And remember, you're doing this from your heart. Jake took a deep breath. He made the decision to face the townsfolk in an open meeting, stirring up the courage buried beneath the surface. This festival isn't about money. It's a chance for us to remember who we are together, he said, his voice steady. I want to reconnect with you all. His voice echoed in the confines of the town hall. The gathered crowd listened, their expressions a mix of skepticism and curiosity. But just as hope began to drip back into Jake's heart, the door swung open violently. Their neighbor, Mrs. Larson, stormed in, a newspaper clutched in her hand. The headline blared loud enough to shatter the fragile moment they were building. Lottery winner in the spotlight again, scandal brewing. Jake's stomach dropped. There it was, the storm was back, fierce and dark. Was everything he'd worked for about to crumble again? Would the bonds he was trying to rebuild snap under the pressure of another scandal? And at that moment, Jake knew his biggest test was just beginning. Would he fight back, or would he let it all slip through his fingers? Jake's heart raced as he felt the weight of the crowd's gazes intensify. Whispers erupted, carrying doubt and resentment like a dark cloud overhead. He could almost taste the tension in the air. Would they see him as the selfish winner, or could he change their perspective? Mrs. Larson, please. He pleaded, holding out a hand to calm the brewing storm. Let me explain. Mrs. Larson stepped closer, her eyes ablaze with indignation. You think an extravagant festival can wash away the embarrassment we've faced? You're just flaunting your wealth. This is not about us. It's all about you. Jake felt his breath hitch. Her words cut deeper than he expected. Was it true? He had wanted to gather everyone, bring back the joy of togetherness, but maybe he had overlooked the pain they felt. The betrayal of money changing friendships, of potential jealousy transforming bonds into barriers. But he couldn't let it end here. He owed it to himself and to Cedar Falls to redefine what this wealth really meant. I'm not trying to buy anyone's affection. I just want to show that we can come together. As a community. For one day, he implored, his voice steady despite his pounding heart. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some remained on the fence, unwilling to step forward. But others were watching him intently, weighing his words against their own experiences. Sarah watched, pride battling fear in her chest. She knew this was Jake's moment to dig deeper, to reveal the heart he had been hiding beneath the pressure. People here know you love this town, she called out from her seat. You wanted to share that love, and that gives us all a chance to heal. The walls around Jake began to soften. Look, I know the lottery money doesn't change the past. He took a deep breath. But I believe we can use what I have to create joy and connection. I want to share it. Not to erase mistakes, but to build new memories. Isn't it just a glamour show? A voice piped up from the back. Anger had transformed into doubt. No. Jake retorted, his voice rising a touch higher. We come from the same streets, we share memories. It's not about the money, it's about us. I can't fix everything with a check, but together we can make Cedar Falls a better place. The tension crackled, and the environment shifted. Hope began to seep back in, mixing with the previous doubt. Jake could see some hesitant nods and shifting in the seats. The crowd was warming up. Just as he sensed the tide turning, Mrs. Larson interrupted, her voice harsh. But what if this festival fails? What if it's just another ploy to distract us from who you really are? Jake felt panic swell again, a tangle of emotions swirling through him. It might. But what if it doesn't? What if we create something beautiful together? A day where we can all laugh, dance, and remember that community is stronger than fear? Wouldn't that be worth trying? The words hung in the air, charged with possibility. The sound of a few claps broke the silence as people cautiously began to express their support. As smiles wove through the audience, Jake felt something shift within himself. It was as if the weight of Mr. Thompson's gratitude laid the foundation for something more. But just as he thought they were gathering steam, the door swung open again, and this time it was a young couple, their faces flushed with urgency. You need to see this, the man gasped, holding out his phone. It's all over social media. Jake felt dread seep back into his bones. What now? Had the shadows really returned, threatening to consume all the light he had fought so hard to bring forth? He took the phone, the screen lighting up with images from the festival post, but it was accompanied by heated comments and accusations flashing across the screen. Just when he thought he might be on the brink of redemption, another scandal was bubbling dangerously close. What awaited them next? His heart thundered as he held the phone tighter. What truth would it unveil? Would he find the strength to confront this new wave, or would it all slip away? Jake's eyes widened as he stared at the screen. The headline screamed at him loud and unforgiving. His heart sank. My son's incredible $53 million fortune led to heartwarming redemption just days later. It felt like the walls were closing in. Around him, the townsfolk leaned closer, voices bubbling with curiosity, suspicion, and a hint of glee. The stares were back, sharpened by the intrigue ignited by the post. It wasn't just about Jake anymore. It was about stories spun in a way that twisted the narrative he had tried so hard to build. The crowd that had started to lean toward him now seemed to pull back, their faces clouded with confusion. Look at this, the young man urged, pointing to the comments flooding in. People are saying you're just doing this festival to manage your image, after someone found out about your wealth. They think it's all for show. No, Jake breathed, disbelief settling in. It's not for show. I really just want to give something back. Mrs. Larson stepped closer, the fire of skepticism reignited in her eyes. And how do we know that this isn't just a distraction? You've suddenly got money, and now you think a festival will save you? He swallowed hard. Each question felt like a jab in the gut, leaving him more vulnerable. You have to believe me. I'm not trying to ignore the past, it's part of who I am. But what I want to do is make a difference. Isn't that worth something? Some folks murmured, but the heaviness in the air bore down like a thick fog. The earlier spark of hope felt distant now, replaced by skepticism. Jake's mind raced. What could he say? How could he convince them he was genuine when they viewed him as just another wealthy outsider? Jake took a deep breath and turned to Sarah, who was standing by his side, her expression a mix of concern and encouragement. Help me. The two of them shared a moment before she stepped forward. Listen, Sarah shouted above the murmurs. This isn't just about Jake's money or fame. Look at all of us. We are Cedar Falls. We have a history, friends. We've overcome so much together. We can't let doubts and rumors tear us apart. Her voice resonated with passion, cutting through the uncertainty that surrounded them. Jake felt renewed strength swell within him. Exactly. We can face anything together. We can rise above this if we choose to believe in one another. The fire in his words ignited a flicker of hope in some. A few people nodded, displaying cautious encouragement. The crowd shifted, but Mrs. Larson's voice rang loud once more. What if you fail spectacularly, Jake? What then? Will we end up like fools for believing in you? Jake thought for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. But what if we succeed? He countered, his voice steady. What if this festival brings back that sense of community we had? What if we heal together? Isn't that worth risking, worth reaching for? The tension crackled like summer lightning. A stirring of applause broke out on the fringes, small but significant. Just when Jake felt a flicker of victory, the young couple exchanged glances, concern etched on their faces. It may not be just a financial scandal, Jake, the woman warned, lowering her voice. There's been a different kind of talk on social media. What do you mean? His pulse quickened, anxiety replaced by a pressing need to understand. As they explained, Jake felt the shadows of doubt gather again. Was there more than just disbelief hanging over Cedar Falls? He knew he had to find out fast. Now more than ever, he was determined not to let the opinions of others define him. He needed to face whatever was coming, not just for himself but for the whole town. But as the murmurs grew, he realized he was standing at a crossroads. Would he push through this storm? Or would it push him away, shoving Cedar Falls back into the darkness? And the biggest question loomed over him. What if the truth lurking beneath the surface was far worse than he could imagine? The crowd began to shift uneasily. Jake could feel the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air, thickening the atmosphere around him. He scanned the faces, longing for reassurance, but found only a mix of dread and wariness. The whispers grew louder, weaving through the crowd like a chilling breeze, suffocating the sparks of hope. Jake, Sarah said softly, her voice steadying, we need to find out what's really happening. Right. He nodded, determination solidifying in his chest. Yeah, let us figure this out. But where to start? The social media storm wasn't just a gully of gossip. It felt like a raging river threatening to sweep away everything he was trying to build. With purpose, Jake turned toward the group. I need your help, he called out. If there are rumors threatening us, we should face them together. Let us clear the air. We can't let speculation tear us apart. What if it's true? Mrs. Larson shot back, crossing her arms defensively. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the crack of fear in her words. I can't control what's out there. But I can control what I do here with you all. Let us take a step back and investigate this together. I'm asking you to trust me. A murmur swept through the crowd. It was small but it mattered. He took it as a sign, a thread of connection that could be woven stronger. I'll talk to people, find out who's behind these claims. I'm here to stay to help Cedar Falls, he added, his voice rising. But I need you, my friends. We need a united front. Finally, after a moment of silence, a voice came from the back. Okay, Jake, it was Tom, one of the younger farmers in town. But if you're serious about this, we need to dig deeper. We can't just let it slide. Jake felt relief wash over him. Exactly. Let us not waste any more time. We're all in this. As the group began to discuss plans, something shifted in the atmosphere. The defensiveness began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of purpose. Together they formed small teams, spreading out to reach different sections of town. Every heart felt a little lighter, the burdens of doubt slowly giving way to hope. Hours later, Jake found himself sitting at the community center, a pile of laptops set up around him as they collected information from social media sites. Throughout the search, threads of anger and scorn intertwined with slivers of curiosity. His stomach churned at the venom seeping from screens, words splattering like paint. But then amid the chaos, Jake noticed a name recurrently popping up in the threads. It was familiar. A ghost from his past he thought he had buried deep. Isn't that? He mumbled, squinting at the screen. Sarah leaned in closer, glancing at the name he had muttered. You know this person? She asked, concern flashing in her eyes. Yes, he replied, his heart sinking to an unsteady beat. But what does it mean? Why are they involved? Before he could process the implications, the door slammed open, and Mrs. Larson stormed in, her eyes wild with urgency. You have to see this, she shouted, waving her phone in the air. Jake's anxiety spiked. Whatever she had discovered couldn't be good. He climbed to his feet, already sensing that this wouldn't be just more gossip. Show me, he said, his voice taut with tension. But as he followed her toward the screen, he felt an icy grip of fear on his heart. Whatever awaited him could change everything. Were they about to uncover something that would finally shake his resolve? Or would it drive them all deeper into the pit of rumors and doubt? In that moment, as his hand reached towards the screen, He knew he was standing on the brink of a revelation that could either bind Cedar Falls together or tear it apart forever. Mrs. Larson held her phone out, her finger trembling over the screen. Jake's heart raced. It felt like time slowed down, each heartbeat echoing the dread pooling in his stomach. "What is it?" he asked, his voice coming out more strained than he intended. "Right here," she replied, pointing almost feverishly. The screen illuminated her furrowed brow, highlighting her fear and determination. Jake leaned in closer, his breath caught in his throat. The image was a screenshot of a post that had gone viral. It showed a photo of someone standing among the ruins of what once was Cedar Falls' beloved food market. The caption dripped with accusations, claiming that Jake was behind the market's disgraceful closure, suggesting he had manipulated the town for personal gain. The uproar it caused was palpable. Each word felt like a punch, and the whispers in the community echoed back into his mind, darker and more biting than before. "This isn't true," he insisted, but he could hear the desperation in his own voice. Why would someone say this? Sarah's fingers gripped the edge of the table, her eyes darting from the phone back to Jake. They must have a reason or agenda. As he took a step back, anger surged within him. Trust he had worked to build felt like ash in his mouth. "What do they want from us?" he said, the words tasting bitter. They were questioning not just his integrity but the very fabric of Cedar Falls. It was personal. Mrs. Larson's voice broke through his spiraling thoughts. "Jake, we can't let this stand. We have to respond." There was a fierce determination in her eyes. Tom chimed in, "If we all show support, maybe it'll quell the flames." Theirs was chatter among the group. Heads nodded. The idea settled like warming sunlight creeping through a chilly morning. Encouragement flickered in the room, competing against the dark shadows of doubt. But how? Jake questioned, clinging to the tiny sliver of hope that was surfacing amidst the chaos. "Let us host a meeting," Sarah suggested. "An open forum. We can unite and clarify. If we face them all together, maybe they'll see the truth." Jake felt his heart thawing slightly, acceptance washing over him. "A town meeting, yes. We'll show them we stand together." As they began brainstorming ideas and potential solutions, he looked around the community center, seeing familiar faces glow with determination. Jake marveled at their resilience, each of them willing to fight for their home and for him. Felt for the first time in hours like Cedar Falls might stand a chance. "Let us meet tomorrow, invite everyone," he instructed, and excitement bubbled among them. Yet, deep down, he still felt the weight of that initial post. What if they rejected it? What if it dug further into their community's trust? His mind raced ahead of him. "We should also investigate who started these rumors," he added. "This needs to be addressed in the meeting too." Their agreement filled the space around them, a bond reinforcing their intentions amid the turmoil. As they finalized their plan, a sense of urgency hung heavily in the room, but beneath it, something pure flickered hope. Jake sneaked a glance at Sarah. She cast him a reassuring smile, one that promised they could turn this around if they stuck together. Just then the door creaked and a clerk from town rushed in, breathless and wide-eyed. "You need to see this," he gasped, waving a different phone, his urgency igniting the air again. Jake felt that icy grip return as every eye turned to him. What else was lurking in the shadows? Could this be yet another challenge to their unity? Or perhaps a twist that would lead them one step closer to uncovering the truth? Jake swallowed hard, bracing himself for whatever revelation awaited them. Jake's stomach churned. He couldn't shake the feeling that this day was about to take another turn for the worse. The clerk was panting, clearly having rushed over, and his eyes darted between the group and the phone like a nervous rabbit. "What's going on?" Sarah asked, glancing at Jake, her expression filled with concern. The clerk took a deep breath, then thrust the phone forward, the screen lighting up his face. "You need to see this, it's about the rumor online. It's bigger than you think." Dread settled heavily in Jake's chest. He stepped toward the screen, his hands trembling slightly as he took the device. He squinted at the headline revealed. "My son's incredible $53 million fortune led to heartwarming redemption just days later." The post had a picture of a smiling young man, arms overflowing with what looked like food donations, surrounded by grateful families. "What does this have to do with Cedar Falls?" Jake asked, confusion mixing with a flicker of curiosity. "It's not just any post," the clerk said, urgency shining in his eyes. It mentions you in the comments section, Jake. Someone is tying you to this young man's rise and claiming you're behind the market's closure to exploit this. Mrs. Larson leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. Are they saying you're somehow connected? That you took this market down to profit off charity? Jake could hardly comprehend what he was hearing. This is madness. His voice barely whispered through the chaos in his mind. What could possibly be behind this? Some people think you're using the situation to make yourself look good by appearing as a rescuer. The clerk continued, desperation creeping into his tone. The post is trending. It's breeding suspicion. Jake took a step back as if he'd been struck. Fear clawed at him, scraping away at the hope he'd felt just moments ago. But that is not true. I've helped this community. The whispers from the group grew louder, encircling him like a storm. He could see the uncertainty on their faces, the doubt creeping into their eyes. This was spiraling. Jake, what are we going to do? Sarah's voice cracked, concern etched in every line of her face. A wave of urgency washed over him. We need to find out who started this, he said, his pulse racing. We need to confront them publicly, expose their lies. But how? Tom asked, concern evident in his voice. The town meeting is tomorrow, but we need answers now. A sudden idea struck him, an idea that seemed risky yet hopeful. Let us go directly to the source. We'll dig into this social media thread. Figure out who commented first and challenge them head-on in front of everyone. If they see we're one step ahead. Before he could finish, another member of the group spoke up. What if it's someone we know? Someone we trusted? A collective gasp filled the room, as if someone had just hit the mute button on the world. Jake's mind raced again. It couldn't be true. Do we really not trust each other anymore? He asked, his voice rising. We can't let fear tear us apart. This is Cedar Falls. We've faced worse. We've faced storms. We've built this town, and we can rebuild trust again. As the words hung in the air, Jake felt that flicker of hope ignite anew. They weren't just facing an individual's rumors. They were standing at a crossroads. Let us get to work, he said, determination flooding his voice. We have each other's backs, and if we stick together we can turn this around. Eyes filled with a renewed strength met his gaze, but underneath it all was an unspoken question. Would it be enough? As the group set to work, Jake felt the shadows of doubt loom behind him, whispering sinister thoughts of betrayal from within his own community. Who would betray them next? The only way forward was into the uncertain depths of suspicion, already swirling just beneath the surface. What truths and possibly lies would they uncover in the coming hours? The atmosphere in the room shifted as urgency swept through the group like wildfire. Jake took a deep breath, trying to calm the tumult of thoughts rushing through his head. Okay, let us split up, he suggested, pacing slightly. Some of us should handle the social media side of this. Look into the comments and track down the original poster. The rest of us can start reaching out to our neighbors and see if anyone has heard anything. We could also create a counter-narrative, Sarah chimed in, her voice steadier now. If we band together, we can post our own stories of how the market struggled and turned around before any of this happened. We'll show people that this is not a scam. Jake liked that idea. Yes. Let us get testimonials from everyone who has benefited from the market. Real people talking about real stories. That'll go a long way. With newfound purpose, they formed their plan. Everyone grabbed their phones and began to move around, pulling together in small groups to tackle their tasks. Jake felt an urge to stand still and gather his thoughts, but he forced himself to keep moving. In the back corner of the market, Tom was already scrolling through the comments on the controversial post. Here it is. It's a user named Redsita? Who even is that? Tom's eyes darted to Jake, concern etched into his brow. Can you track their profile? See what else they've said? Jake responded, feeling a hint of panic rise again. If they've got anything else suspicious we need to know. On it, Tom said, tapping away quickly. Meanwhile, Jake and Sarah confronted the remaining townspeople, gathering disbelief and empathy. They shared stories of the market's struggle, conversations blending into an eager energy. Faces that once bore doubt began to soften, and some even offered their own experiences with the fruit and vegetable stand. As the evening wore on, the atmosphere began to shift from suspicion to solidarity. Those present began to share their own triumphs and tribulations surrounding the market. Mrs. Larson recounted a memory of her son's first bite of a ripe, juicy peach. "This place isn't just a grocery store. It's a part of our community," she stated firmly, her voice ringing out above the whispers of uncertainty. Jake felt the warmth of hope gathering around them like a fortress. "That's it," he said, his heart swelling. "This isn't just about me. It's about everyone now. We need to remind our community of that." As the discussions gained momentum, a familiar buzz came from Tom's phone. "Guys," he shouted, drawing everyone's focus. "Retsita's profile doesn't look right. It was created just a month ago. They've only commented on this post and nothing else. It's like they're hiding." A collective gasp swept through the group. They started murmuring, the air thick with tension. "That means they're purposefully trying to sow discord," Sarah said, her eyes widening in realization. "We need to figure out who this is." "Do you think it's someone from Cedar Falls?" Tom asked. "Could be," Jake said, meeting Tom's eyes. A chill raced down his spine. "But why? Why would someone want to destroy us like this?" The murmurs softened into a still silence as they processed the new facts. Could it really be someone from their own community, someone who had no consideration for the pain they were causing? With resolve tightening in Jake's chest, he spoke. "We'll find out. We have to. But first we all need to stick together and stay strong." As night enveloped the town, they knew the fight was just beginning. Who was the puppet master behind the shadows? The question echoed in their minds, sending a shiver of anticipation and fear through the group. The town meeting loomed, and with it the promise of both resolution and danger. Jake felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him, the air thick with tension and the lives they were fighting for hanging in the balance. Would the truth set them free? Or would it lead to more heartbreak? Morning light broke over Cedar Falls, casting a warm glow on the market square. Jake stood with his hands in his pockets, taking in the familiar sights. Now, however, they were tinged with uncertainty. He could feel the tension in the air, a mixture of hope and dread. Today was the day of the town meeting, and voices filled the square again, but this time with a different intensity. The makeshift stage was set, just a wooden platform with a few chairs facing the gathered crowd. Residents trickled in, some with frowns etched deep, others only whispers of concern. Jake's heart raced as he spotted familiar faces. Mrs. Larson was chatting with Mr. Chun, their expressions serious. They were not alone. Others were murmuring amongst themselves, the weight of the situation evident. "Hey Jake." Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts. She hurried over, her phone in hand. "Did you see this?" She pointed to her screen where comments were popping up in real time. Sarah handed Jake the phone, and he read the latest post. A wave of anxiety washed over him. "This isn't helping, it's just adding fuel to the fire." The message was mean-spirited, dismissive of the market's impact. "Every minute we spend worrying is one we could be using to fight back," Sarah replied with fierce determination. Jake nodded, knowing she was right. The time for action was now. As they approached the stage, the air grew denser, charged with anticipation. Jake noticed Tom up front, scrolling through his phone again, his face a portrait of concentration. The murmur of the crowd quieted as they turned their attention to the stage. He could see the mayor, an imposing figure, bringing the meeting to order. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady but weary. "We need to come together as a community to address these allegations." The crowd sat in heavy silence, awaiting their chance to speak. Jake felt a surge of hope for their town. Each person had a story, and with each testimony, they could create a mosaic of unity worth fighting for. He exchanged a glance with Sarah, a shared understanding passing between them. As the floor opened for questions, the tension broke. Mr. Chun stepped forward, his voice trembling slightly. "We shouldn't let one person's lies tear us apart. This market has helped so many of us." The crowd erupted in support, cheers echoing across the square. One by one, voices began to rise. Stories poured out, families who had gathered under the market's roof, children's laughter filling the aisles, elderly folks sharing recipes passed down through generations. Their sense of community flooded back, wrapping around them like an embrace. But then, as the momentum built, a newcomer stood up. A young man, face flushed. He pointed a finger. "What if it's not just someone trying to ruin us? What if it's someone we all know? A chance for someone else to come in and take over?" A hush fell over the crowd. No one had voiced the possibility until now. Eyes turned anxiously towards each other, assessing, questioning. Who would do such a thing? Sarah murmured, her fear palpable. Jake's heart sank. The question hung in the air, heavy and charged. It was one thing to rally people together. It was another to face the possibility that the enemy might be among them. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. This fight was about more than saving the market. It was about protecting their sense of family, their unity amidst adversity. Listen, Jake finally called out, stepping forward, his voice stronger than he felt. We need to strategize. We can't let paranoia tear us apart. It's time to find the truth behind Redsita. Let us uncover the real motive. The crowd murmured in agreement, but uncertainty still loomed. Jake caught Sarah's eye again. They were in this together. But now the stakes felt even higher. As they prepared to dig deeper into the mystery, a chilling thought crossed Jake's mind. If they could uncover the truth, would it lead to allyship or a greater betrayal? The next steps would reveal if they would collapse in fear or emerge stronger than ever. What awaited them on this journey? Jake stepped forward on stage, feeling the weight of the town's eyes upon him. The atmosphere was thick, people were anxious and wary. He cleared his throat, firming his resolve. Thank you all for being here today, he began, fighting to keep his voice steady amidst the tense murmurs. I know that things seem precarious right now, that Redsita's comments have unsettled many of you. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, eyes flickering with doubt. But Jake pressed on, fueled by determination. But let us not allow fear to overshadow the community we've built together. This market is more than a store. It's a gathering place for us all. He felt conviction rising within him, something beyond mere words. We've shared memories and triumphs under this roof. We can't allow one voice to fracture our unity. Let us stand together in the face of suspicion. The murmurs rose to supportive cheers, as if igniting a spark among them. He saw Sarah in the front row, her encouraging smile shining brightly. The mayor nodded, encouraged by Jake's fervor. We need solutions, not suspicion. If someone is stirring these rumors, it's our duty to uncover them. As a united community. Whoever Redsita is will find out, Jake exclaimed, looking back at the crowd, his heart pounding with newfound strength. But we must do this together. We can organize teams to investigate and share the truth of our community. Arm yourselves with compassion and strength instead of fear. At that moment, an older resident, a man named Mr. Wilkins, his voice gravelly but powerful, stepped up, shuffling forward. You know, this market has seen ups and downs, but it's been a lifeline during rough times. We've stood together. And this is just another storm we will weather. We owe it to ourselves to confront these lies. The crowd erupted into applause. Yes, the tide was turning. They were rekindling their bond, rekindling hope. Jake turned to the crowd. Let us create a committee. We can dig deeper, investigate who's spreading lies, and bring our findings to light. The energy buzzed, weaving a tapestry of determination throughout the room. People began to step forward, inspired. We can collect testimonies from those who've benefited from the market. Sarah chimed in, we should showcase our resilience. Let us gather stories of joy, community bonds, family gatherings. Let us publish them online. I can get my son involved. He's savvy with social media, cried Mrs. Larson, her resolve shining through. The chatter transformed into a cohesive plan, words layering upon one another like bricks in construction. They divvied up tasks, every voice fueled by the desire to protect their town. As the meeting wrapped up a little later, hope thrummed in Jake's veins. They had not just fought against rumors but built a plan. United, they would rise above this challenge. Later that evening, Jake and Sarah found themselves sitting in their familiar kitchen, the weight of the day lifting. The air shifted, feels lighter, almost charged with possibility. The festival was approaching. But now it was more than just a celebration, it was a beacon of hope for Cedar Falls. Today felt different, Jake said gently. I know we're in a storm still, but I think the clouds are starting to break. We're reclaiming our narrative. Sarah smiled, warmth spreading through her. It's not about wealth. It's about people. And you, my son, are finding that truth. Just then, a knock echoed from the front door and shattered the tranquility. Jake opened it to find Tom, a grin plastering his face. You won't believe this, he exclaimed, brandishing his phone. What is it? Jake inquired, heart racing as anxiety coursed through him. Retsita, we found out who it is. The room fell silent. Who? Jake asked, the tension rising. It's Keith. Your old friend from high school who left town. Jake's stomach twisted. Memories of their camaraderie flooded back, mixed with betrayal. Why would he do this? I don't know, but we need to confront him, Tom replied, his voice firm. He's fueling divides. We can either let this destroy us or talk to him as a community. A voice echoed in Jake's heart. He didn't want to fight. Let us bring him here. If we confront him together, maybe he'll see the damage he has caused. Maybe he'll realize he needs us too. With that goal set, they reached out to Keith. Tensions thick but resilience bubbling beneath. The next hour dragged slowly, charged with uncertainty about what the confrontation would reveal. Finally, the door creaked open and Keith stepped inside. He looked worn, the years had not treated him kindly. Jake met his gaze, tension sparking between them. Why? Jake said, desperation lacing his voice. Why would you do this to us? Keith hesitated, biting his lip. I wanted to expose the truth, he muttered. I thought you were exploiting something you didn't care about. Suddenly voices surged around him. That is not true. This is our community. They rose, a chorus of voices, each sharing how much Cedar Falls meant to them. Joy, laughter, and memories wrapped around the room. Stepping forward, Sarah chimed in, Jake means everything to the town. We need to heal, not tear each other apart. Keith's facade cracked as he glanced around, understanding washing over him. The gravitational pull of community reasserted itself. I wanted people to remember what it meant to care, he whispered, voice trembling. I thought if I exposed something it would shake people awake. But it only divided us. With that, a tentative peace began to settle, a fragile bridge forging back. They knew rebuilding trust wouldn't happen overnight, but the first step was taken. Over the coming days and weeks, the festival blossomed into something extraordinary. Cedar Falls turned out in droves, families gathered, laughter filling the air as the walls began to crumble. For every ripple of mistrust, kindness surfaced, erasing divides. As Jake stood under a banner reading Cedar Falls together, he watched neighbors reconnecting, old and young sharing stories, the sunlight spilling over him. He could feel the love surging through the crowd, lifting them all. And through the noise he turned to Sarah. We've done it, he whispered, tears of gratitude in his eyes. Together, she replied, her voice laced with warmth and pride. In that moment, beneath a sky painted with hope, they truly understood. It wasn't the fortune that mattered. It was the communities built, the strings of connection woven through shared lives. The true riches ran deeper than money could measure. This was Cedar Falls, their home ever changing but forever united. Don't wait. This is your chance to connect. You need to subscribe now to ensure you never miss another heartwarming story like this. Hit that like button too. Let us feed the algorithm together. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think of this transformation? Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see the real power of community. Your support means everything. Don't wait, not even one more second.